Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Friday, January the 23rd. And as we like to do once a week, we'll be chatting with our good friend George Rodriguez from South Texas. George, I guess you are now our first guest of winter because we are indeed having winter up here. We have I guess right now it's 42 as I speak to you Friday night. It's 42. But it's supposed to drop into the low 30s and into the 20s. And that by itself would be a problem, but at least you can dress up for that. But the problem is going to be that it's going to be raining all night. It's going to be raining all Saturday. It's going to be raining practically all Sunday. So, going to be a lot of ice out there, George. Lots of ice on the streets of North Texas. So, I guess this is a good weekend to do nothing and maybe watch a football game.
Yeah, stay indoors.
Yeah, stay indoors and in fact, it's interesting. The police chief or the fire chief in Dallas made an interesting statement today. He said, "If you don't want to see us, stay home, because if you go outside for whatever reason, you're probably going to have an accident. So we don't want to see you out there." So anyway, that's North Texas. What's South Texas like?
Well, the good thing is that we have that at least half of the county is missing the rain. We're going to have cold weather. We're going to have very, very cold weather. But half of the county is going to be dry. The other half of the county is going to be wet. And just like in Dallas, we're going to have some very slick, slippery roads tomorrow and Sunday. And supposedly tomorrow afternoon, it'll drop below freezing, and it's not going to come up above freezing until sometime on Monday.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be it's going to be a long, by our standards, it's going to be a long term of
it's definitely going to be 2 or 3 days. What I see all the schools closing on Monday. I see a lot of people working from home on Monday.
Yeah.
And Tuesday morning, the schools may close because it's still going to be bad Tuesday morning. Although in the afternoon, the temperatures will start rising and you'll see the ice disappear. So we don't get this a lot up here, George. It's not something
it's about once a year event that we get some ice, but that's life in Texas.
That's life in Texas. So we just have to deal with it. And as the police chief said, if you don't have to drive, don't drive.
Don't drive.
Stay in and watch a game or, I don't know, read a book. I just got a new book from my friend, Professor Alfred Lopez up in Purdue University. He just wrote a brand new book about Jose Marti, the great Cuban author and patriot. And interesting book that he wrote that I plan to tackle that book here because it's just a fascinating topic. And one thing I'll say about my friend Alfred Lopez, he is the first professor or author to write about Marti in English, which is so important, not just for the general population, but for the new generation of Cuban Americans who were born and raised here. Who have not had the opportunity to, obviously, they speak Spanish, but they speak Spanish with their grandmother or whatever. Not the same thing as reading a book.
And they don't read. So, I mean, one thing is to speak Spanish as a secondary language.
Right.
Another thing is to read it. And one of the things that I understood very quickly when I lived in Mexico City was that although I spoke very good Spanish, I didn't read it very fast.
Right. Big difference.
Yep, big difference.
Yeah, big difference when you write a memo or something like that. I remember when I went down to Mexico City to work, I worked down there for 4 years, that my father bought me a book of accounting terms or business and accounting terms in Spanish. In other words, how to write business Spanish, which was, of course, I didn't grow up with that. So it was really nice of my dad to get me that that book. But I still relied on my dad. I would send him a draft of what I wanted to write and say, "Hey, Dad, can you please take a
Proofread it.
look at it?" And he was always very nice, and he did that. So that was because we used to fax each other back then. We didn't have the iPhone, so I would fax to his office my little draft, and then he would fax it back to me. So a little different back then than what it is now with the iPhone and all the technology, where you can have, you can do things a lot different. So to everybody out there, stay in and just take it easy this weekend. Good weekend to do nothing if you can. I mean, I know some people have to work. I understand that. But I think a lot of my guess is we're sort of lucky that this is happening on Saturday and Sunday because the offices are closed, the schools are closed, and that's going to keep a lot of people at home. Just that alone will keep a lot of people off the streets. But of course, the police has to work, the firemen have to work, the hospitals have to work, the ambulances. So we obviously appreciate very much their service and the work that they do for all of us. Okay, George, let's talk about ice. Speaking, that's kind of a funny topic, ice when we're talking about these temperatures, but this is the other ice, the agency. And we see what's happening up in Minneapolis. Vice President Vance, I think, was up there either today or yesterday and spoke about how different ice is being treated up there than here in Texas, for example, and in other places as well. And I come back to the point, that if many of these communities, Minneapolis, Chicago, and LA, would simply work with ICE, we wouldn't have these problems. They wouldn't have to go into a neighborhood or into a shopping center to look for somebody because the local police would work with them. And that's the frustrating part. That's the frustrating part for me, that we have to have cities, I guess these are sanctuary cities, George, doing this kind of stuff. It's really frustrating because it's not helping when they do this, George.
No, this situation is one where it's a political state of rebellion. And there's no other two ways to say it. They are encouraging this rebellion. It is all anti-Trump, not necessarily anti-ICE per se, because they didn't say much when Barack Obama was removing people, and they certainly have never said anything about the resettlement among them when Biden was resettling them. So the issue is not illegal immigration per se or the law enforcement. I think the biggest problem, it's just anti-Trump.
Right.
And this anti-Trump madness is endangering law and order completely and totally. Right. We have had the same situation here, much lesser scale here in San Antonio recently with protests against ICE. And there are people who are trying to stir it up to make it a bigger deal, but it just doesn't seem to be taking. And it doesn't seem to be taking because obviously, first of all, the governor has said, nope, we're going to support him. Either you support him or we support him. And then secondly, you've got the attorney general of the state. You've got several local politicians all stepping up and saying, no, we're going to do it. We've got the sheriff who is reminding everybody that the state has passed a law that requires it. So, there is some screaming and yelling, but nothing like Minneapolis.
Right. No, and I think recently there was a march in Austin against ICE, and right. the governor made it very clear. You can march all you want, you can protest all you want, but don't touch a police officer. Don't interrupt the police from doing their job. Don't block traffic. Very important. Don't block traffic. And don't go into businesses to do your political screaming or whatever, like restaurants.
Right.
You can't do that in Texas. You don't do that. And very recently, the governor of the governor of Florida had the same point. The governor said, look, this is not Minnesota. We don't tolerate that.
And we've seen it in Louisiana. The governor in Louisiana has said the same thing. I mean, again, it's like a household where you've got where the daddy is in charge, and he wants to keep law and order in the home. Uh, these situations, like in Minneapolis, you've got not only the governor uh, encouraging the disobedience and the anarchy, but you've got the mayor, which is almost like the mommy encouraging
Right.
The disobedience. And so, what do you expect?
Right. And then the mayor is so silly with some of the language. Like he says,
Yeah,
neighbor protecting neighbor. Yeah, like interrupting a police car is how neighbors protect each other.
exactly.
And what also amazes me is that every time ICE goes into one of these cities, they come out with a bunch of criminals.
Exactly. Which is the
So
amazing thing about it.
yeah, so it must be embarrassing, I would think, for the mayor of Minneapolis to say that, well, we're just neighbors taking care of neighbors, and then come out, they arrest people who are molesting kids, committing crimes. I mean, the same thing happened in California a few months ago. ICE went in and they found a farm, two farms actually,
Right.
where they had minors working illegal,
Mhm.
and they were illegal kids, and they were some of the kids who were missing
They
under
were
the Biden
marijuana
administration.
farms. They were
Yeah,
illegally owned marijuana farms.
right. So I mean, this is crazy. I mean, I think that I understand the DOJ is issuing a subpoena. I mean, I would really like to see one of these mayors or one of these governors, but definitely a mayor, pay a political price for this and make it
Yeah.
very clear that if you're not going to work with ICE, hey, you're going to have to. You don't have a choice.
You are
But here,
impeding law enforcement.
exactly. But
And
here's the
this is an issue. This issue is about not only public safety of your community, because these are criminals, but it's also about national security. National security because these people are foreigners and some of them are terrorists.
Mhm.
We've seen in New York at Columbia University that they repeatedly had tried to arrest and deport a guy that was promoting Hamas. And now they've got a mayor that's doing it. So I'm not sure how
Right.
that's going to turn out.
Well, my advice to these mayors and these sanctuary cities is that they better get on the game or get on the page, because I don't think it's gonna work out well for them. But the whole idea of a sanctuary city is something that it's offensive, really, when you think about it. I mean, what would happen tomorrow if a city in Texas or Alabama or anywhere really were to say we're going to be a sanctuary city of the IRS? Okay, we're going to be a
Very
sanctuary
popular with
city.
a lot of people.
Yeah, that would be really popular. We're going to be a sanctuary city of the EPA. So if the IRS agents come into a community to see why you're not paying your taxes or whatever, we're going to keep you out. We're going to encourage mobs to keep you out of town. That would not fly well. And I'm sure you remember, George, the Arizona law, the
Yeah,
Arizona immigration law, and how the Obama administration went after that like to a
exactly.
rocket. And you know what? They were right. I mean, technically right, because it is the federal government.
It is the federal government.
Yeah. So I just think this whole thing is crazy. But you hit on something, George, that I agree with. And I think it's all about Trump.
Yep.
Because I just today, somebody ran something on Twitter today, these videos from the past. I would recommend to anybody to watch Bill Clinton's State of the Union of 1995 or 1996. He sounds just like Trump when it comes to illegal immigration. Even people like Chuck Schumer, Hillary Clinton, even that lady who was the senator from California, Feinstein, not long ago, was talking about illegal immigration. So it's all about Trump. And it's very sad because that's what it's all about. It's all about Trump. Trump takes a position, they have to take the opposite. As simple as that. It's not a principled position, because if it was a principled position, they'd be willing to go to jail over it. But it's just like you say. I think you're right on. I think it's all about
politics.
and then they have this 5-year-old. You heard about that, right?
Yeah.
the 5-year-old kid who
And they don't
was
say anything about the father, A, that brought him here illegally, but
right.
that B, abandoned him.
Yeah, that's shocking to me as a father
He
that,
ran and left the kid there.
right. The father runs away and the kid is there. And it's like the middle of winter in Minnesota, not exactly the friendliest place for a 5-year-old kid to be. And the father runs away. I mean, doesn't even grab the kid and run with him. And then they're saying that ICE is kidnapping children and arresting children. Well, thankfully, they shut that down quickly. Thankfully.
Well, they have, but here in San Antonio, the Democrat Congressman Joaquin Castro, is going down to the ICE facility down south of San Antonio, where the father and the kid are, and he continues to make the same to repeat the argument that the kid was arrested by ICE, and again, I mean. You could correct this idiot all you want, but he's going to continue to say it.
Right. Well, I think it all comes down to politics, like you say. I think these are issues that sell in the left wing of the party,
Mm-hmm.
and the left wing of the party is extremely strong right now.
Yeah,
in the party,
they are playing to it.
They're playing to it, and they're playing to it big time, and that's what we're seeing. Speaking of the left wing of the party, George, guess who's going to be our next topic? Well, the one and only Jasmine Crockett, who is running for the U.S. Senate. I wrote a post at the American Thinker today saying that, or actually quoting an article that came out, I believe in Political or The Hill, one of those two, that Jasmine Crockett is sort of trying to change her image a little bit, that she wants to be more centrist, that she wants to present herself as an electable Democrat. She is trailing Tallarico in the polls right now, but neither one is over 50%. So this is going to a runoff more than likely, George. So how do you see it down there?
Well, yeah, I mean, down here, she has been here in San Antonio recently, and then she went to the Valley. And the number one thing, I couldn't stop giggling about it, because the number one thing that she was trying to do was try to placate or try to apologize to the Hispanic male voter, because she insulted them back in December, right after the election, saying that Hispanic males, specifically, she said it specifically in South Texas, had a slave mentality for having voted for Trump. I mean, she said that, and so she comes down here bold-facedly. I mean, she has no shame. I mean, really, she has no shame. I'm not sure how she was raised, how her parents raised her, but she has no shame, because she comes down here and she just expects people to accept her, to accept her apology. Well, she was down here doing that. The other thing that was very, very interesting to me was the crowd that she pulled. She pulled a lot of female radicals, blue-haired people, blue-haired women, masculine blue-haired women. But she didn't pull much more than that. And to me, the enthusiasm in the Democratic Party is just not there. It's just not there. I mean, I'm not sure how they're going to handle it. Tallarico was also here a few weeks ago, and the number of people that also he pulled were, still we're not what Kamala had pulled in, or we're not certainly not what Biden had pulled in. Yeah. We're not what Beto had pulled in. It's going to be very, very interesting how these folks, how they first of all, how many people turn out, but secondly, who they're going to follow.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like you say, what the turnout is, because in the past several primaries, The Republican turnout has been many times 5 or 6 times more.
Hmm.
I remember back even when Beto ran the first time, more people voted for Cruz and whoever the other candidate was back in 2018 than for Beto O'Rourke. In other words, more people voted in the Republican primary than voted in the Democrat primary. Now that doesn't tell you the whole picture, but you're right. It does tell you something about enthusiasm. I think they're both going to the runoff. In other words, I
Yeah,
don't think either
I
one
think
goes.
they will. I think they're both.
Yeah,
I mean, I cannot see one of them edging out the other. The other thing is that, again, it is such a contrast between the two. One is a radical black woman. The other one is well, in their terms, a moderate white male. And it is just so juxtaposed opposites for them. And I am not sure. I mean, if either one of them wins, I don't know how they're going to repair their party to get a rally, a strong enough rally to beat the Republicans.
yeah. Well, I just saw something that Jasmine Crockett said today, and she said, and I think I'm quoting her pretty close. She said something that we've tried a white man and he cannot win.
Yeah.
That's a pretty incredible
Well,
remark.
I would
I'm not
ask.
sure who she's talking about
Well, yeah.
because
Well,
we also
Gavin
tried a
Newsom.
black.
How
Well,
about
okay,
Gavin Newsom? Is
yeah.
Gavin
Well, that's
Newsom? I
true.
mean, how's she
That's
going to
true.
handle that?
Yeah, well, that's true. But what I'm thinking more in Texas, we had a black candidate run against Ted Cruz and he lost.
And he lost
We had a woman run against Abbott actually
a couple of times,
a couple of times. Abbott ran against two women and
and they
and
lost.
he beat them. And then of course he beat Beto O'Rourke as well. So
A fake
I'm not
minority.
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. What she means by that, but I think Talarico's problem, George, is he's not that well known.
No.
I mean, basically, he's a Central Texas state representative, and I don't think he's that well known. Now, obviously, he'll get better known as the campaign starts, and I guarantee you, whoever the Republican nominee is, we're going to really,
We're going to get to know him real well.
yeah, we're going to get to know Talarico real well. But still, I think they're both at a disadvantage. Jasmine Crockett, because I think she is too radical. She really is. And I think Talarico because he's kind of weird.
Oh, Jasmine Crockett is radical and she can't control herself.
Well, that's true.
Tellerico
That's true.
seems to be just someone who's running he's running scared from his own party, it seems like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not running as a Democrat. He doesn't talk too much about that.
No.
He's almost running as if he doesn't have a party or he doesn't
he repeatedly has said that he doesn't go along with everything that the party says. So I mean, right there.
But he needs to get more specific because that's the
Yes.
problem with Talarico. That the other day I was watching him and he's talking about how he refers to Matthew 25 in the Bible.
Right.
I will confess up front that I don't remember that particular part of the Bible, Matthew 25, but he was using Matthew 25 to criticize the Republicans for cutting healthcare spending.
Yeah.
Or for cutting food for people. And then he got into Jesus would always welcome people. Okay, I guess he wants illegal immigration now to be justified by the Bible. I don't know. But these are the kinds of issues that once he gets into a real campaign, I think he's going to have a hard time defending.
Which
the other thing
does he use, I wonder?
Yeah, but the other thing too, George, that I find interesting about the two of them, they're supposed to have a debate next week, I think. And I would like for the debate to get into more general issues. Like, for example, I like to see them talk about Iran. I like to see them talk about, the cartels. I would like to see them talk about the economy. I would like to see them talk about foreign policy, the Supreme Court. I mean, because those are the issues that the Senate gets into. I mean, the Senate gets into a lot of very difficult issues, and they're not addressing any of that. I mean, they're off on these slogans. And at some point in time, we need to know more about. I mean, I know about Jasmine Crockett. I think she's gone out of her way to tell us what she stands for. She basically stands against Trump. I mean, that's her campaign, is she's against Trump. But Tallarico, I kind of like to know more specifically what he stands for, because yeah, I'm all for reading the Bible, but I don't know. I'm
Which
not
surprises
sure.
me, because I thought that the Democratic Party didn't want us to read the Bible or to have it in public.
Well, yeah, I mean, he wants us to read the Bible, but he doesn't want the 10 Commandments in the schools. I find that to be interesting. But he's he's one of like, you're right. I mean, he's kind of playing this middle of the road game where he wants, like, he's against billionaires. He's against corruption. Well, I don't see any Republican campaigning on behalf of billionaires,
Exactly.
or corruption. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. But if it goes into a runoff, and I think it will, it's going to get really brutal between them, because she's going to try to destroy him. And I'm not sure he can defend himself, because she's going to play the race card on him for the entire runoff campaign, George.
I mean, she already is, but
she already is. But she's going to get it's going to get really intense, because she's going to make a big issue out of the fact that he's a white man. She's really going to go after him on those grounds, and maybe that works in the Democrat Party, but it doesn't work in the rest of Texas. Well, on the Republican side, of course, it looks like there will be a runoff on that. I don't see how they can avoid it, and that's going to be Cornyn and Paxton, and I haven't seen a lot of commercials for that campaign. Paxton has done a few, but it seems to me that Cornyn is holding everything back until for the runoff. What do you think? I'm okay. I mean, do you agree with me on that?
I have seen this past week. I have seen commercials by Wesley Hunt here in South Texas.
I've seen those.
By Wesley Hunt, and also by Cornyn. I haven't seen much about Paxton yet.
Well,
okay. Cornyn and Hunt I have seen.
Yeah, and Cornyn apparently has a lot of money.
Yeah,
he has a huge campaign chest. So my guess is that Cornyn is going to basically save it for like maybe a month before the primary, and then really use it after the primary, when they go into the runoff. That's my theory. I could be wrong, but that's my theory. Well, it just means that we'll have a lot to talk about, George, here in the next few weeks. Any trips? I know probably not this weekend, but are you doing any speaking?
I'm speaking in Houston first week in February.
Oh, okay.
And that's really about the only one. I've been involved in several moderating candidate forums up here. I did one in Seguin yesterday for Congressional District 35. Last week I did one for Congressional District 24, and it's I mean, the congressional districts are redrawn. One of them is completely redrawn here in San Antonio, which gives the Republicans a very, very big lead and or inside. And that one has, get this, 10 Republican candidates running in the primary.
Wow, that's probably means there's going to be a runoff on that one. I see that our friend Mark Teixeira is doing pretty well.
Yeah, Mark Teixeira is doing very, very well. He is going to be here in town on Monday, or should I say, Jim Jordan is going to be here in town on Monday with him. So that should be. That's a
good endorser to have Jim Jordan with him. And I heard something, George, that Henry Cuellar's brother was indicted.
Yes.
Did you hear about that?
The sheriff.
Yeah.
The sheriff. His brother is the sheriff. His sister used to be the county tax assessor.
Wow.
And she got herself in trouble at one point about 5 years ago, and was elected out of her office. But his brother, the sheriff, has gotten himself in trouble and has been indicted. Now, this comes on the heels of President Trump pardoning Cuellar, who was indicted and was facing trial and probably facing criminal time,
right?
Prison time. And had it not been for Trump stepping in, he would probably, be going to serve some time.
Yeah.
However, he didn't play ball with Trump. Trump is very upset with him. I guarantee that Trump is not going to raise a finger to help his brother. And I'm not sure how the Cuellar family in general, the name Cuellar, is going to go down in that area now.
He has a competitive campaign ahead of him.
Well, definitely, he's got real competition from the Republican side,
right? And maybe even a primary. I haven't heard about that, but
no, the primary. I think the Democrats tried to primary him twice, and it was didn't work. They spent tons of money. I don't think that they're going to do that again. However, I just don't think they're going to pour any money into his campaign to beat the Republican. And the Republican that's running, or the primary Republican that is looking the best right now is Tano Tijerina, who is the county judge. And I just feel bad. I feel bad for the entire Cuellar family because they're looking bad right now.
Yeah, they've had a few, and you're right. They've had a few legal troubles, and if it weren't for President Trump stepping in, who knows what would have happened to Representative Cuellar as well. Well, George, we'll keep talking primary here in the next few weeks as we get closer to it. But as always, I want to thank you for your time, and especially protect yourself this weekend. I think everybody in Texas has the same problem: too much ice.
Definitely.
too much ice and too many cold temperatures.
I love the fact that we're complaining about too much ice.
Yes, let's do that. All our friends up north are probably thinking that we're a bunch of sissies, but no, we're not. We're not. The ice, the
100-degree weather for months.
Yeah, we don't complain about that.
We don't complain about that, but
no, give us
3 days of freezing temperatures. That's different.
Yeah, give us 15 degrees and we turn into a bunch of sissies. Well, I'm just joking when I said that. Not just joking. Well, George, thank you so much for your time as always, and have a wonderful weekend. And let's get ready for the next time.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
All right, our friend George Rodriguez down in South Texas. Everybody in Texas is having, or this weekend is going to be pretty rough because of the low temperatures, really. And the combination of low temperatures and precipitation, where you get ice and not so much snow. I wish we got snow. I wish we had 5 or 6 inches of snow. That would be fun. You could actually go out and play. But what we get is more ice. And that, of course, is dangerous. You cannot drive in it. And even walking becomes a real danger. So if you're out there in Texas this weekend, just do nothing. If you can. I know some people have to work. I understand. But if you can work from home on Monday, do that, because I have a feeling that the schools will be closing on Monday, and that it probably won't be until Wednesday that the schools are back. And I think Tuesday is when most people are going to get back into business. Thank you for listening. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.